Here at Magna Fort, and other names are available, something extraordinary came to light in May of this year, 2025. A whole bunch of XXXL sized Roman shoes, and one of them at an extraordinary 32.6 centimetres long, that's 12.6 inches, think about that, is being touted as the largest Roman shoe ever found anywhere. 12.6 inches. That's big. But it's not just that. In fact, over a quarter of the extremely well-preserved Roman shoes that have come out of this northern ditch here at Magna are massive. They are oversized. What is going on here? The experts are nonplussed, and it's making the headlines. This week, we're going to show you where the huge shoes were found. And we'll be asking the question, what was going on here? Was this a place that was home to a race of Roman giants? Of course it wasn't. Gang, I may call you gang, mayn't I? I'm not very well this week, so this video has been put together for two reasons. One, because I picked up the story, and I had a number of people. Hello, Tracy. Tracy follows us on YouTube, obviously. God, my brain's just not working today. Pointing out about this story, it seems to have been breaking this week. My planned video for this week was quite complicated, and I am not feeling great. I've been, you asked Mrs. WC21 UK Productions Limited, I've been very brave, but I have been quite poorly for the last couple of days. But I thought this would slot in and be relatively easy. So far it hasn't turned out to be, but we'll see how we get on with it. I am walking along the ramparts of what I like to call Magna Fort, but as I mentioned, other names are available. Now, the fort here was originally one of the Steingate forts, so it predates Hadrian's Wall. But once the wall was in place, it seems to have taken on a largely frontier maintenance sort of role, as opposed to being garrisoned. And I would wager that many of these are actual Roman stones from the fort, rebuilt into this field wall. The discovery of these exceptionally well preserved and exceptionally large, hobnailed Roman shoes has come about during excavations of the northern ditch here at the Magna Fort by the Vindolanda Charitable Trust. Now, Vindolanda itself is only about 7 miles to the east of here, and you will be aware that over many years now, coming out of the ground there in incredible states of preservation, there's been a whole range of wonderful finds. Not least of all, lots of shoes, it has to be said, but probably most famously, the Vindolanda writing tablets.
Shoes were important to Romans, perhaps not as important to them as they were to Imelda Marcos, but to go barefoot was frowned upon. Building on the designs of the Greeks, they had quite a range of footwear options. Sandals with socks were a height of fashion, as indeed they remain today for my husband. The army had special military sandals, thick leather soles and hobnails, but these were also used by civilians, especially those involved with manual labour. Now, I'm doing this voiceover, this little last bit, because he's still poorly.
This then is the ditch, the northern ditch, and so far they have found 32 shoes here, extremely well preserved in the waterlogged conditions. These shoes were thrown away as rubbish in the Roman era. Now, the average is something like 24 to 26 centimetres long. They have found children's shoes here, as well as our giants. But of the 32, 8 are really big. At least over 11.8 inches long. And what's that in new money? 30 centimetres. These are massive shoes. Thrown in that ditch there. That 12.6 incher is equivalent to UK size 13, USA size 15. Now, some people have challenged and said it's the waterlogged conditions that have made them so big. But in actual fact, they think the drying out process, the conservation process, actually leads to shrinkage of up to a maximum of about 1 centimetre. So they're pretty confident these shoes were massive back in the day. A lot of the sensational press coverage of this discovery has focused on the fact that nowadays, apparently, to be a basketball player in that America, you are 7 foot tall and you have size 15 in American sizes shoes. I don't know if that's compulsory, if I'm shattering any dreams there, but that's how big these people here at the Roman fort of Magna may have been. They may have been 7-footers. Cheers! Don't know why I did that. Now, at Magna Roman Fort, we have the Roman Army Museum, which is always worth a visit. I popped in on the off chance, but of course, none of the giant Roman shoes are on show yet. They're being conserved and looked at to try and understand them. But I did get plenty of B-roll of shoes for a subsequent section of this video. Actually, you may have already seen that. I don't know how it's going to end up. But I've got some B-roll of shoes anyway, Roman shoes. I'd also recommend their ginger loaf. I've come to Vindolanda 2 today to see if they had any of the oversized shoes on display. Obviously, they haven't. The work is still ongoing there, but I did find some really big ones. What do you reckon they are? I mean, they can't be far off of 12 inches, can they, those ones? I also had the opportunity to sit at Eric Burley's desk, which I enjoyed very much and thought was very befitting of my status. Here at Vindolanda, they have over 5,000 Roman shoes. This isn't really Hadrian's Wall, it's a reconstruction. And they actually have a lady whose job it is, Dr. Elizabeth Green, and it's her job to measure the shoes. There are 3,704 that are measurable. I don't know why the others aren't. And I'm sorry if I've disappointed anybody. I don't think there is a doctorate available in measuring Roman shoes. But of that 3,704 measurable shoes here at Vindolanda, I'm crossing into the timber Hadrian's Wall reconstruction here, only 0.4% of those measure more than 30 centimetres in length, versus 25% at Magna. What on earth was going on at Magna? I'm going to shelter in this timber reconstruction turret. The experts are hoping that they'll better get to the bottom of this once they've had the chance to examine the pottery finds that have come out of the ditch. The main speculation at the moment is that this is something to do with ethnicity. We know that along the line of Hadrian's Wall, as we've touched upon in many previous films, there are people from all across the empire. Before we get started, just a quick word, chaps. I don't want any smuttiness, no sniggering this week after the nymphs debacle the other week. There is nothing saucy about shoes and foot size.
So this is a standard 12-inch ruler, and the Roman shoe that they found is actually taller than this. You know what they say about men with big feet? Big socks.
In order to give some sense of scale to the size of the... Because I'm poorly today, I'm really struggling to find different words to say big. These big shoes. I asked Mrs. WC21 UK Productions Limited to make me some large sort of cardboard feet and sellotape them to my shoes to give a sense of scale. Now, these shoes I'm wearing, I think they're probably at size 7.5, something like that. So I don't know if that gives you an idea of the scale of these ginormous, big Roman feet that have been discovered. Let's just get down on the floor, give a sense of the scale of those. How big are those Roman feet? It's no good. I'm bashing down the doors to the temple. I've got the flu, it's pouring down. I'm going to do the next bit in here. I am so sorry about this, but I'm under the weather this week, so be kind in this next bit. Let's talk about some potential solutions. What could be going on here with these gigantic feet? Now, most of the experts, as I think I've already mentioned, are sort of thinking it's something to do with ethnicity. So what I did was I identified from inscriptions from Magna a whole bunch of countries of origin of people that we know who were here at some point during the Roman period. Now, I know I'm going to get flayed alive in the comments for this, but the only comparable shoe size thing I could find on internet was in American sizes. So remember, I am poorly today, so please be kind. But as you can see here, nothing leaps out. Obviously, these are modern averages, but I think we could probably assume that shoe size hasn't really dramatically changed, has it, in 2,000 years? If you know anything about that, let me know. One interesting thing I discovered, and this is from a real fragmentary inscription, was that there was a company of Magnus identified here, and they may have been a recruit of local tribesmen, so indigenous Celts living near the fort. So could our giants actually be indigenous Celtic Britons? They're giants I can believe in. Now, whilst I was looking round the Roman Army Museum, I saw some hippo sandals, wonderful hippo sandals. You know, those special Roman shoes that they had for horses. And then I remembered this thing about Magna having this maintenance function. And I thought about, could these giant shoes be giant because they were worn over layers of protective socks? You know, they did like socks. Socks and sandals were very fashionable during the Roman period. So in much the same way that today in our health and safety conscious world, I believe workmen, what are those boots they have? Are they steel-capped boots that sort of builders and the like have? So I did wonder, are these giant shoes a result of the fact that they were worn over layers and layers of something else, and that's why they're big, to protect feet during the heavy lifting, so to speak? Can't really think of anything else today because I'm a bit under the weather. I don't know if I've mentioned that at all so far. What else? Did the Romans do basketball? Now, what else have I got to remember to cover off? It's painful today with my fuggy head. Oh, yes, we've got a joke. Well, I'm hoping we'll have a joke. I've sent a text to Jim Murray, our gag writer who used to write for Frankie Howard. He promised he's going to get one in before I finish filming here today, so that's something to look forward to. Okay, so I might be a bit under the weather this week, but you lot are not. And we've got some real geniuses going by the comments that we get every week. So this is your homework. Before the experts come up with the solution to this, you need to. So tell me, why are there a quarter of the shoes coming out of the ditch at Magna? Why are they so huge? Deadline next Friday. How's that for some ambient lighting to mask my pallid complexion? Now, we have a fantastic institute of amateur YouTube antiquarians, and we're building a great community there. I stress this next section is not sponsored. I just want to give a plug to a brand new website that one of our members, Luke Stevens, is launching. It's a website where you can upload pictures of historic sites that you visited and then chat with like-minded souls about them. He describes it as being a little bit like Facebook, but without the lying and spying. The link is in the description down below. Thanks to our members. Oh, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.
So he's so poorly now that he's gone to bed and he's asked me to do the last bit. And this is a joke from Jim Murray. A fresh legion turns up at Hadrian's Wall to relieve their frozen comrades. One of the arriving prefects turns to a wintry weathered soldier and asks, "Hail Caesar, what's afoot?" The soldierly wearily looks at the prefect, takes off his shoe and replies, "About 12.6 inches if our cobbler's to be believed." Oh, there's another one. The shoes were made to 12 inches as they were foot soldiers. It's probably best if we just leave it there. And we'll see you again next week.